leaders? This is the leader video for July 12th and 13th. Move Up Weekend. Here we go. Whoo, man, going up those stairs, that is no joke. All right, so I just have a couple of things to announce for this weekend as far as the big stuff goes. And the first thing, as I alluded to in that opening video there, is that this next weekend is Move Up Weekend. And so that means that our 4th, 5th, and 6th graders are all going to be moving up to the next grade. So for our 4th and 5th graders, not much really changes. But for our 6th graders, that means that they are going to be moving on to junior high and to that next stage of community and connecting in their relationship with Jesus. So we are going to have a moment at the beginning of class to just send them off with a prayer, to let them know that we are commissioning them and sending them in Jesus' name to go to that next stage. And we hope that they will connect and find community there. Actually, the gift that I'm going to give them is a patch, a little Murray, which is our Life Center logo. It's a little sheep. You might have seen it around here a lot. And it says Better Together on it. And so it's just a vision of how we believe that when we follow Jesus in community, it prepares us for every stage of life. And then the last thing, as I've been bringing up for the last couple weeks now, is camp. I would just encourage you guys to pray this thing to the finish line with us. We need your prayers. We need your help in order to make this thing happen. And also, I'm including a leader email, in the leader email, a link to register as a leader if you're interested or if you have the capacity to do that. We love your partnership, and we need your partnership in order to pull this off. All right, let's head on to what's coming up this weekend. So for this week's Loop Show video, we're going to be jumping back to a series that we did last December, and the name of the series is called How Much, and it's focusing on the topic of generosity, which generosity is the biblical vision that it gives us in order to overcome the vice of greed, which is that constant internal desire for more. Poof! I have switched locations. I had to move spaces because someone was needing the classroom, but let us continue along. We were talking about generosity. And so this week, the Loop Show is going to be approaching generosity by talking about money. They're going to use that vehicle of how we manage and how we understand our money to understand the heart of generosity. So the reality is that money is a weird conversation to bring up when talking to kids, because to be honest, they just don't have much of it, and that's okay. But the reality is money is a placeholder for what the value ultimately is, and what makes us valuable is how much money we have kind of gives ourselves a sense of value, or how much we can spend is also a way that we see our value being communicated in culture, if we're rich or if we're poor. And so this is something that we need to address. This is something that we need to identify. And the Bible does a really good job of that. In 1 Timothy 6:18-19, our verse for this week, this verse addresses that topic. And it says that in a couple different ways. It says, tell them to use their money to do good. And then from there, so it addresses money. It realizes that money is a necessary thing that we need to manage well. But it also then gets to the heart of the issue, and it says to be rich in good works and generous to those in need. So it realizes that money isn't the ultimate thing. It's our hearts and the overflow of our hearts that reveals our generosity. So we're going to be talking about generosity from that perspective this week, how we can touch on the overflow of our hearts, really, and what that overflow boils into, which is how we spend, how we give, what resources that we have, and how open-handed are we with those resources in our life. And that's going to play out in our activity. So let's jump on to that right now. For the small group activity for this week, we're going to be playing a pretty simple game, and it's a game that doesn't need a ton of instruction. If you read through the activity guide, you should be pretty good on how to work through it. Like I said, it's a simple one. But the heart of the game, or the idea of the game, is that we can help kids identify that they don't need to be rich with money in order to be generous in their hearts. And so the game reveals a lot of different ways in which we have more than we need, and how we can pour out of the wealth that God has given us into the lives of others, with our actions, with our money, with our skills that God has gifted us with. So that will be the activity for this week. Look it over, but you should be pretty simple activity to transition into the lesson from this week. So that's all for this weekend. Excited. Come 30 minutes before the service time, so that way we can huddle and pray and focus our attention and prepare our hearts for what God has for us and leading these kids. All right, I will see you guys this weekend. Bye.